Ever get that feeling like you totally missed the boat on something big? You know, like that whole stock market thing during lockdown?
Absolutely, that FOMO feeling, right? Hindsight is always 2020.
But, thinking about it, there are these fundamental shifts happening right now, skills that are just going to be absolutely vital moving forward. Yeah. And it's not really something you can just like put off learning.
No, definitely no time to wait on this one. It feels pretty urgent, actually. Getting a handle on AI basics is becoming less nice to have and more essential.
Right.
We're seeing it pop up everywhere.
Exactly. And that's really why we wanted to do this deep dive today, whether it's, top of your mind or not, understanding AI skills. Well, it could easily be the defining career topic for 2025.
Couldn't agree more. And maybe we can put aside that whole narrative about robots taking over all the jobs.
Oh, totally.
That's really missing the point, I think.
Yeah, it's much more about figuring out how AI slots into your career, whatever you do,
Yeah.
Doesn't matter your age or current job.
The real key takeaway here, I believe, is this. AI isn't likely going to replace you,
Right.
but the folks who actively learn how to use AI, they're the ones who are going to see the real progress, the opportunities.
That's the game changer, isn't it? The future really belongs to those who can work with AI, use it to elevate what they already do.
So today is really about setting up that solid foundation.
Exactly. We're laying the groundwork here. We can definitely dig into the more advanced stuff, the applications, maybe in another session.
Perfect. And the goal is really to empower, that passionate young talent that's coming up.
Yeah, our mission is pretty straightforward. Yep, share clear, practical insights, but do it in a way that's actually engaging and, well, easy to follow.
Something anyone can sort of grasp and then run with.
Exactly. So let's maybe start at the beginning for you. What kind of sparked your journey going from math, then into actuarial science, and finally landing in data science?
Sure. For me, it really boiled down to two main things. One, wanting skills that had, real career value, employability. And two, just pursuing work that I found genuinely interesting, intellectually stimulating.
I remember finishing high school, and the career advice was just so focused. It felt like everyone was pushing engineering, especially aiming for, the IITs.
Oh, yeah, a very common path back then.
It was almost the default, right? But someone gave me this piece of advice that just stuck. Pick something you actually enjoy and something with clear career paths. Math kind of hit both initially, right? But, pure math can get pretty abstract pretty quickly.
Yeah, the direct link to the real world isn't always immediately obvious.
Precisely. Then in my final year, I stumbled onto actuarial science. That felt much more applied, analyzing risks, financial model.
Good job prospect.
Exactly, strong job market. And from there, moving into data science just felt like this, natural next step.
And woven through all of that was this constant theme of learning, staying relevant, always looking for that next challenge.
Totally. Which eventually led me to a PhD in quantitative techniques, focusing specifically on AI and machine learning.
Okay, so for those of us who aren't deep in the tech weeds, how do these quantitative techniques actually link up with the AI we keep hearing about?
Yeah, good question. Think of quantitative techniques as like a big toolbox. It's got math, statistics, decision science in there.
Okay. My focus within that toolbox was machine learning. And that's basically the engine driving most of the AI we use today. It's the algorithms that let computers learn from data.
Got it. So machine learning is the core tech-making AI work.
Pretty much, yeah. That's the heart of it.
And now in your teaching, what areas are you mainly focused on?
Primarily stats, optimization, data analytics, and naturally artificial intelligence itself.
So for anyone listening right now thinking, okay, I need to get up to speed on AI, this is really where that journey starts, understanding these fundamentals.
Absolutely. And maybe we can break down how these AI skills actually fit into different kinds of jobs.
Okay, yeah, like some jobs are super repetitive, right? Same thing over and over.
Right. While others are much more dynamic, less predictable day to day.
And then there's the learning aspect. Some jobs, you learn the skill once and it's kind of fixed. Others demand constant learning, adapting all the time.
Exactly. So if you sort of plot those two things, repetition level and learning need, you start to see like 4 main categories of jobs emerge.
Okay.
And each category needs a different level of AI know-how. Could be basic literacy, maybe deeper fluency, or even the ability to design AI systems.
Interesting framework. Let's walk through them.
Okay, so category 1. These are jobs with high repetition, but they still need quite a bit of skill.
Like manufacturing, maybe.
Spot on. Think about quality control on an assembly line. AI is already being used there, scanning products for defects, way faster and sometimes more accurately than humans.
So for someone in that kind of role, the AI knowledge needed is mostly literacy, like knowing how to run the system, understand the output.
That's the core of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Just operating and interpreting.
Okay, makes sense. Moving to category 2. Still pretty repetitive, but maybe with more dynamic elements.
Yeah, a classic example is customer support. You see chatbots handling all the basic common questions now, right?
Right.
That frees up the human agents to tackle the really tricky, complex issues.
So here the human needs to understand how the AI thinks, sort of the workflow, and crucially, when to step in.
Exactly right. Knowing the boundaries in the process.
Got it. Category 3 then. High skill, low repetition, constant learning required. Yep.
Think professions like doctors, lawyers.
Okay. So in these really complex fields, AI becomes more like a powerful assistant, helping draft contracts, maybe suggesting diagnoses.
Precisely. It's an augmentation tool.
Yeah.
And the people actually building those AI tools for doctors and lawyers, those are your AI engineers.
Right, the creators. Okay, finally, category 4, low repetition, high creativity.
This is where artists, writers, content creators fit in.
And AI is moving into this space too, isn't it? With tools like Midjourney, DLE, generating images, text.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for creatives, the key is figuring out how to use these new tools effectively, ethically, to enhance their own creative process. Not necessarily replace it, but augment it.
Okay, quick recap. Creatives are category 4, doctors, lawyers, category 3. Correct. Where do entrepreneurs fit in this picture? They seem to wear so many hats.
That's a great point. Entrepreneurs can honestly land in any of these categories depending on their specific business.
Yeah.
Their big challenge is figuring out strategically how to leverage AI across their operations for efficiency, innovation, whatever their goals are.
Right. They really need that broad understanding to make smart choices about adopting AI. What about the military?
The military is definitely involved, kind of on two fronts. They're both pushing the boundaries, developing cutting-edge AI, and also figuring out how to apply AI in, various operational situations.
Interesting. Okay, so keeping this framework in mind, what's really the first practical step for someone wanting to build these skills?
It absolutely starts with AI literacy. That's the foundational level.
And what does AI literacy actually mean in practice, like day to day?
It means knowing what AI tools are out there right now, and crucially, how they might apply to your specific work. So maybe a writer uses it for brainstorming script ideas, or a teacher gets help drafting lesson plans, or that factory worker we mentioned just needs to understand what the AI quality check system is telling them.
So bottom line, AI literacy is about being able to make sense of what the AI is putting out, interpreting the information.
That's it, fundamentally.
Yeah.
And once you got that basic literacy down, then you can move towards, fluency, really getting good at using the tools and maybe eventually even designing AI solutions yourself.
Okay, let's pause here for a sec. Lots of people now have heard of or even used things like ChatGPT, maybe Google's Gemini.
Yeah, they're becoming household names almost.
But on the surface, they can seem kind of similar, right? Just chatbots.
They can, yeah. But under the hood, the technology, the architecture, the data they learn from, what they're actually good at, that can vary quite a lot.
I know, right? It's like they're all cars, but one's a pickup truck, one's the sports car. So let's dig into that a bit. What are some key differences people should maybe know about? Let's focus on, say, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and maybe Grok, since that one gets attention, being linked to Elon Musk.
Definitely. And figuring out which tool is the right one for the job. That's a
Yeah.
huge part of being AI literate today.
Totally agree. And honestly, for anyone wanting to build that literacy, my number one tip is always just start using them.
Exactly. Experiment. Play around.
Get your hands dirty.
You really need that hands-on experience. Until you actually mess with these tools, you won't get a real feel for how they work, what they're good at, and importantly, where they fall short.
Like sometimes ChatGPT gives you two options and asks which is better, right?
Precisely. It's learning from you. These models get better through that interaction by understanding what users actually prefer.
And unless you use them, you won't develop that instinct for writing good prompts or nudging them to give you what you actually need.
Also, and this is super, super important, don't just blindly trust everything these things spit out.
Yes, the whole hallucination thing, they can just make stuff up, sound confident about it too.
Absolutely. We can touch on why that happens in a bit. But the key takeaway is using them regularly helps you build that gut feeling for when you need to double check, when you need that human oversight.
So first step is simple. Just start using them actively.
And don't just stick to one. Try out a few different ones, especially the free versions that most of them offer.
Right. The main ones to maybe check out now are ChatGPT, obviously. Yep. Grok, DeepSeek. That's the one from China, right?
And Google's Gemini.
Oh, and Perplexity. Can't forget that one. Founded by an Indian entrepreneur, actually. Nice.
Worth checking out, too.
You know, sometimes I notice with ChatGPT, it can kind of lose the plot, forget what we were talking about earlier, or make weird mistakes.
Right. It's not like your basic voice assistant like Siri or Alexa.
Yeah.
Those are built for very specific preset commands. You say, good morning. They have a programmed response. That's it.
Siri and Alexa, those are more like narrow AI, right? Fixed tasks, weather, play music. But ChatGPT is generative AI. It's creating new stuff based on what you ask.
And that very act of generating something new, something novel, well, that automatically introduces the possibility of errors. It's kind of like talking to a person who's read, like, the entire internet, but might sometimes misremember a fact or connect things wrongly.
Totally. And anyone who's used ChatGPT over time can see the newer versions are way better than the old ones.
Oh, yeah. The underlying systems are constantly getting smarter. Though I wouldn't say they're hitting perfection just yet. Still evolving.
They're just getting better at spotting patterns and all that data, right? It's basically statistics at a massive scale.
Think of it like this. If you tape the sky is, the model is almost certainly going to finish with blue. Why? Because in the mountains of text it learned from, that's the most common pattern.
Makes sense. But if you ask something more complex, more nuanced, maybe about, I don't know, specific economic trends in India, the answer might be a bit shakier.
And that's often because the training data itself, all that human-generated text, is messy. It's inconsistent. It has biases baked in.
It is kind of garbage in, garbage out. And our own human biases can get reflected back at us through the AI.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I've also really noticed that the more detailed, the more specific you are in your prompt, the better the answer you usually get back.
Oh, 100%. You really have to give it clarity, like the background, the context, what you're actually trying to achieve.
Yeah, like when I ask AI about political stuff, I might specify, okay, state level versus national. Which demographic, group, age, income, what's the specific economic angle or social angle I care about? The richer the prompt, the richer the answer, usually.
So huge takeaway then is that writing good prompts is key to getting good results. That's basically prompt engineering, isn't it?
That's exactly what it is. It's a process. First, give it context. Who are you asking as? Why are you asking? What's your angle? Then, boom, state your question clearly.
And it's also worth remembering, right, that AI doesn't really have memory like we do, like from one chat to the next.
That's right. Each new conversation is kind of a blank slate. You need to re-explain the background info every time.
Reiterate who you are or what you're trying to do, all the relevant bits.
Yeah, whenever I start a new chat, I mentally brief it. Okay, AI, here's the project, here's the topic, here are the main questions I need help with.
And here's something interesting I've noticed. If you give a human executive assistant, say, 10 instructions at once, maybe they miss one, forget one.
It can happen.
But with AI, you can often give it like 10, 15 steps in a row, and boom, it usually just executes them perfectly.
Yeah, it's pretty good at following sequential instructions. Of course, human EAs bring so much more judgment, intuition, relationship building. They're definitely not going anywhere.
Oh, for sure.
But you can absolutely use AI as like a super efficient personal assistant for a lot of tasks.
Whether you're a founder trying to juggle everything or a student managing coursework, it can be a huge help. Heck, I sometimes use it to get ideas for what to feed my 2-year-old.
Huh. Yeah, and in my work with college students, if they're stuck on a concept, I often say, okay, first, ask the AI to explain it. Then come back to me and let's talk through what you understood.
It's like a teaching assistant, personal organizer, brainstorming buddy, all rolled into one sometimes.
It can be.
Yeah.
But it's worth remembering, current AI still has limits, especially when it comes to like complex troubleshooting. We're still in what they call the generative intelligence phase.
Right. We haven't hit AGI yet, artificial general intelligence. Exactly. That's the sort of sci-fi idea where AI has human-level smarts, can learn anything a human can, and understands emotions, ethics.
And when humans troubleshoot, emotions, ethics, empathy, they all play a part, right? Current AI doesn't have that yet.
But the experts seem to think AGI might not be that far off, maybe 5 to 10 years. Some are even saying 5 to 8.
Yeah, the predictions vary, but it's definitely on the horizon. Remember Jarvis from Iron Man?
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of the classic pop culture example of
Yeah.
AGI, proactive, super smart, understands context.
We're not there yet, but maybe in the next, say, 2 to 4 years, we could see AI becoming more semi-autonomous, handling more complex stuff on its own.
I think so. Like right now, you might ask ChatGPT to research restaurants,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe soon you'll just say to your AI, hey, I feel like Thai food tonight. And it'll just go research, find a top-rated place based on your past preferences, book a table, add it to your calendar.
Wow. It could even like call the restaurant to confirm, maybe suggest a backup if the first choice is full.
Exactly. You'd still make the final call, yeah, I actually want to go, but all that tedious admin stuff handled.
That honestly feels pretty close now.
It does, and that's why it's so important to start engaging with this stuff now. You know how I feel about this when I talk to my team.
Absolutely. Everyone really should be like diving into self-study with AI. Doesn't matter what you do or how old you are. Your team is fairly early career, right? Roughly, yeah. See, this stuff wasn't part of our schooling, and it's crucial for another reason too. It saves you so much time and like mental bandwidth.
Precisely. It frees up your brain power to focus on the bigger picture, the more creative stuff.
Right. If AI handles the grunt work, your mind is clear for innovation, strategy, and well,
Yes, there's definitely anxiety about jobs being displaced. It's also true that new roles, new opportunities are going to emerge. And the potential efficiency gains are huge.
honestly, I can actually picture a future where, partly because of AI, maybe a 4-day work week becomes the norm, more time for family, life.
That's a really optimistic take, and I certainly hope we head that way this last decade.
Yeah.
It's been tough in a lot of ways. But if we're smart about how we use this tech, the 2030s could be pretty amazing.
I like that optimism. We've had guests who've said similar things. Yeah, disruption first, but maybe positive change long term.
I tend to think about it through the lens of solar punk.
Solar punk. Okay, that's the opposite of cyberpunk, right?
Exactly. You know, cyberpunk, dark, dystopian, Blade Runner, some Black Mirror episodes.
Yeah, gritty, tech gone wrong, societal decay.
That vibe.
Right. And sadly, we do see flashes of that potential sometimes. But solar punk, which fits your optimistic view, imagines technology and nature working together. AI used to boost happiness, well-being, build a brighter future.
But that positive future only works if we actually understand AI now, right? You need that solid knowledge base to steer things in the right direction.
Absolutely. And the cool thing is, AI is already pretty good at teaching you about itself.
Yeah, it's kind of meta. You can literally ask ChatGPT, hey, how do you work? Or what does generative mean? Or even explain pre-trained transformer like I'm 5.
I will give it a shot. Explain it simply.
It's amazing. Back when I was studying, reliable internet wasn't even a guarantee, let alone affordable.
Totally. By the time we were in college, things like WhatsApp, YouTube,
Yeah.
they were just getting going. The amount of learning material easily available then was nothing compared to now.
Now, it's just an explosion. Creators explaining AI concepts on video, AI itself generating content about AI.
You could probably make an entire YouTube video script, voiceover, captions, basic edit, just using AI tools right now.
So there's really no excuse for like intellectual laziness anymore, is there? The access is there.
Smartphones are everywhere. If you can use WhatsApp, you can probably figure out basic AI tools.
The barrier to entry is just so low. It's literally in your pocket.
But yeah, okay, reality check. Just last week, we tried using AI quite a bit to help generate content for this actual show.
Right.
And yeah, it was helpful, a useful tool in the process. But the final version, that still needed the human touch. A lot of it.
Oh, definitely. The skills of good writers, editors, they're still absolutely essential.
AI-generated stuff is getting better, no doubt. Way better than even a year ago.
But I don't see it fully replacing human creativity, human judgment. It's more like augmentation, making us better, faster maybe.
It reminds me of that Yuval Noah Harari quote, "The future belongs to those who can work with AI."
So true. And the core skills you need then, good prompt engineering and that solid AI literacy foundation.
That's the real message, isn't it? AI isn't taking your job. Someone using AI effectively. That's who might.
Precisely. The headlines often focus on job losses, but they miss how jobs are changing and totally new jobs are popping up.
Okay, sure, some low-skill, highly repetitive tasks. Yeah, they're likely candidates for automation. We shouldn't ignore that.
But look at history, right? Every big tech shift, the Industrial Revolution, the Green Revolution, caused short-term pain, some job displacement, but ultimately led to huge long-term gains.
The World Economic Forum actually predicted, I think it was something like 85 million jobs might be displaced by AI, but potentially 97 million new jobs could be created. That's a net positive.
Wow. So the real focus should be, how can I use AI to make my current job better, more efficient, more impactful?
AI-assisted work is just becoming the new standard. Whether you're a student, a knowledge worker, even managing a home, figuring out how AI can simplify things is worth doing.
Like your meal planning example.
Exactly. I used to waste so much brain power just thinking, what are we eating today? Now, I tell the AI our preferences, restrictions, and boom recipe ideas. Saves me time, saves mental energy,
That's a great practical use case.
and building AI literacy often starts with small things like that. But, okay, a word of caution too. Balance is key. We need to be mindful of screen time. Screen addiction is a real thing, especially for younger folks.
Yeah, finding that balance. But if some of that screen time is spent learning a crucial skill like AI, that feels more productive, right? Maybe shifting some scrolling time to learning time.
Absolutely. Whether your aim is to become an AI engineer or just be better at your job, AI is like a fundamental system change, like electricity was.
Yeah.
Electricity changed everything. AI feels like it's going to have that kind of broad impact.
So the big question for everyone listening is, what specific changes can AI bring to your life? And how can you start learning now to ride this wave?
You mentioned prompt engineering earlier.
Yeah.
That job title didn't exist when we were in school.
Totally. Just like content creator or social media specialist were new concepts not that long ago.
The internet age spawned whole new job categories, didn't it? The dot-com boom in the 90s.
Yeah.
Suddenly, businesses needed websites, banks went online, governments too. Creatives became YouTubers. We're seeing that pattern again with AI.
For sure.
AI specialists,
Hmm.
machine learning engineers, prompt engineers, people who specialize in fine-tuning models, and AI ethics. That's becoming huge. We need people focused just on the ethical side of all.
Yeah, and there aren't even formal degrees for a lot of these roles yet. The demand is just skyrocketing. So if you're interested, now is the time to explore. And for AI ethics, you don't necessarily need a super deep tech background, right? It's more about critical thinking, philosophy, policy.
Exactly. It opens doors for people from different backgrounds. This has been really insightful. I think this will be super helpful for listeners. If people want to connect with you, ask more questions, what's the best way?
Instagram's probably the easiest.
Okay, great. We'll definitely put your handle in the show notes. We clearly need more experts like you making this stuff understandable.
Happy to help. Always glad to connect with folks who are curious or need a bit of guidance in this space.
Awesome. So just looping back to our mental map, we've really been laying down that foundation of AI literacy, haven't we?
Yeah, understanding what AI can do, how to talk to it, prompt engineering, and seeing where it fits in.
And prompt engineering. Sounds fancy, but really, it's just about clear communication, right? Structuring your thoughts logically.
Exactly. Applying basic communication skills in this new context. When you talk to AI, you're learning a new way to ask good questions, basically, because it doesn't think like us.
Right. It works on patterns, statistics. So how do you phrase things to get the best output? How much background does it need? What kind of language works best?
It's kind of like how we talked about those 4 job categories. If someone's unsure about their career, they could literally explain their situation to an AI and maybe get some decent ideas for paths forward.
Why not? Use it for that kind of meta thinking. And those categories aren't set in stone either. People can move between them, and AI might even help map out how that framework.
Yeah, the 4 categories you laid out.
It's really just a practical tool for thinking, not some rigid academic thing.
And these AI models can be amazing teachers too, simplifying really complex stuff. Okay, quick practical question. This came up in our office the other day, lots of different opinions. Just briefly, can you give us a snapshot comparison of the main chatbots, Gemini, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Grok right now, say May 2025?
Yeah, sure. Okay, let's imagine I'm creating some content maybe about AI itself. I actually tend to use different tools for different stages.
Okay.
For just brainstorming, getting initial ideas flowing,
Oh.
I often lean towards Perplexity. It seems pretty creative with angles and maybe hallucinates a bit less in that early fuzzy stage.
Interesting.
Then for actually writing, fleshing out those ideas into proper content, ChatGPT is still really versatile. Massive data set, feels polished, generally robust. But if I need to do more technical analysis, STEM stuff, math, data, DeepSeek often shines there. It seems to have a good rep for factual accuracy in those domains.
Right.
And then for real-time stuff, like it's trending right now, Grok has that unique link to X, Twitter. So it's great for capturing the current pulse. Each one kind of has its sweet spot.
And knowing those sweet spots, that's part of AI literacy too.
Exactly. But like we keep saying, this whole space is changing so fast. What's true today might be different in 6 months.
It's this constant race, isn't it? All these companies gunning for AGI, that artificial general intelligence, whoever cracks that first. Huge advantage, financially, strategically.
Oh, yeah. You asked about the underlying tech in simpler terms.
Right.
There are tons of people building these things, and their choices, the data they feed it, it does leave a sort of imprint, doesn't it?
Like an artist's style.
Kind of, yeah. The people and the data used for training subtly shape the AI's personality, if you can call it that.
So, like, if you ask Grok and ChatGPT to write in the same style, Grok might sound more casual, more informal. Maybe because Musk owns Twitter, and that data is full of, well, informal chat.
That's a very likely factor. That huge data set from X with all its raw personal expression probably contributes to Grok's more conversational feel. It learns from that language, it can mimic emotion, but it doesn't feel it.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Right. So if I fed an AI all our recordings and said, talk like us, it could probably copy our speech patterns. But if something unexpected happened right now, it wouldn't react with real surprise or humor like we would.
Precisely. It doesn't have your history, your feelings, your perspective. It's matching patterns, not truly understanding context or emotion. And yeah, people definitely notice Grok's more informal, sometimes even kind of bro-y tone.
And there's probably a reason for that, statistically. ChatGPT, on the other hand, feels like it has more guardrails, filters maybe, to keep the conversation on track, stick to certain ethical lines.
Yeah, AI ethics and the laws around it are still playing catch-up globally. Europe's moving on it, but there's no universal rule book yet. So the guardrails vary. Grok's seem looser, allowing that informal style. ChatGPT often feels more polite, more buttoned up, probably because its creators put stricter rules in place about acceptable output and interaction.
And this might also reflect the bigger picture, right? U.S. development is mostly private companies, profit-driven. China, often more state-led, centralized. So even though ChatGPT and Grok are both U.S.-based, their ethical programming might differ.
That's a plausible influence. And then you have Gemini from Google. Google's massive advantage, search, google.com.
They've been analyzing searches, figuring out what people mean for decades.
Exactly. Gemini plugs right into that ocean of data about user intent.
I think ChatGPT originally trained on Bing data, right? Though I'm sure it's ingested tons more since. But Gemini's direct line to Google search, that potentially gives it an edge on accuracy, especially if you give it good context.
But every AI, no matter how smart, still needs that context from you to do its best work. Gemini definitely uses search well, but, they all have weaknesses too.
Okay, like what?
Well, ChatGPT, as we said, can sometimes struggle with really complex math or technical accuracy.
Yeah.
But it's often great for creative stuff. Poetry, stories. Code generation is pretty good, but can be hit or miss.
Right.
DeepSeek, the Chinese one, very strong on STEM, code, debugging. But yeah, there are those data privacy questions people raise.
Understandable.
Well, Gemini is usually very precise, very accurate, maybe sometimes sounds a little robotic in creative writing compared to ChatGPT, but give it good context. Leverage that search data, and it's powerful.
And Grok.
Grok's strength is that real-time analysis via X, but it has a smaller user base right now compared to the others. And ultimately, how do these models get better? Better data, smarter engineering, and feedback from millions of users.
So the more we use them, the smarter they get. Okay, so quick recap for listeners. You gave us 3 practical steps to start.
1, figure out your main job category using that framework. 2, build your basic AI literacy, everything we've discussed. 3, start actually using the chatbots. Play around, experiment.
And let's add a 4th step to that list now.
Yeah, start exploring specialized AI tools. Beyond the big chatbots, like for presentations, check out Gamma AI. For visual brainstorming, Napkin AI is cool. For music generation, they're Jan tools.
These aren't necessarily for the final perfect output, right? More for the early stage.
Exactly. Great for kickstarting things. Storyboards, flowcharts, first drafts. Then the human comes in to refine, polish, add that unique touch.
Yeah.
And of course, Midjourney, DALL-E for images. They've totally changed the game for visual creation.
Which, yeah, brings up all those thorny questions about ownership, ethics, artist styles. Is it inspiration or copying?
One view, directly mimicking an artist's unique style feels wrong. Another view, artists have always learned by imitating others. It's complex.
Like if I took your entire podcast script and had someone else read it word for word, that's plagiarism. Clear line. But AI art, imitating a style, is the line as clear? Society's still figuring that out. So yeah, okay, we had big plans to cover everything AI today, but man, it's a huge topic. We've barely scratched the surface.
Really is dense.
Maybe in our next session, we can dig deeper into those 4 job categories, look at more advanced uses, give people time to digest this first. So let's wrap today with just a few final practical questions.
Sounds good.
How do people even start? Like literally step 1.
Simple. Google ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok. Click the link. start typing. What about Hindi support? ChatGPT and Gemini handle Hindi pretty well now. Grok, less so. DeepSeek is weaker on Hindi currently. Cost. Basic use is mostly free for these main ones. Heavy-duty stuff, analyzing huge files, advanced features usually needs a paid plan. Oh, and Notebook LM from Google.
What's that word do?
You upload your own notes, articles, whatever text. Then you can ask the AI questions about it, get summaries, simplify things. Because it's working only with your text, it's much less likely to hallucinate or make stuff up.
Ah, okay, that sounds really useful.
So that's your starting point. Go play. That's where the real learning happens.
Okay, we talked about putting stuff into AI, but maybe one of the craziest things, especially for students or researchers, is uploading a ton of text and telling the AI, like, turn this into a podcast.
Seriously, you could upload our transcript, and AI could probably generate a fake podcast episode with different voices reading our parts. It's pretty wild.
Okay, maybe we won't do that to this episode.
Not kidding.
But wait, Gemini is Google's main chatbot, right?
Correct. Their big general one.
So why make Notebook LM then? Is it about having tools optimized for specific jobs?
Exactly. And it's not just Google. Think about napkin.ai for visual notes or gamma.ai for presentations. They do one thing, but they often do it really, really well. They might not be able to write a poem like ChatGPT, but they nail their specific task.
So the general chatbots have breadth, they can do lots of different things.
Right. A little bit of everything.
But these specialized tools offer depth.
Precisely. Optimized just means they're fine-tuned for that one function. Maybe not great at other stuff. So the next level of AI literacy is knowing about these task-specific tools too, and when to use which one.
So someone could take a base model like Gemini, feed it tons of specific examples and prompts, and basically fine-tune it into a much narrower, specialized tool.
Exactly right. What you call basic Gemini, ChatGPT, those are the foundational models. India, for instance, doesn't really have its own major public foundational model yet.
And DeepSeek was China's first big one, right?
Correct. And people build on top of these foundational models. Prompt engineers are basically taking these powerful base models and using smart prompts to create specialized tools like, I don't know, super specific poker odds calculator or something.
Okay, super practical takeaway time. Give us 4 specific AI tools you think could be genuinely useful for people in their careers right now.
Okay, 4 useful ones. First, Notebook LM, personal favorite. Great for organizing notes, summaries, structuring thoughts. I tell my students to use it constantly.
Got it.
Second, gamma.ai. For making presentations fast. Give it a prompt, it spits out slides and a speaker script, easy to edit too.
Nice.
Third, napkin AI. For visual thinking. After a chat like this, I might dump the key ideas into napkin, draw connections, make a flow chart, really help solidify understanding, especially if you're visual. And fourth, Midjourney or DALL-E for generating images from text. Sometimes seeing a concept visually just makes it click, you know? Really powerful for understanding and explaining things.
Totally. Visual learning is huge. Seeing ideas laid out makes them stick way better for a lot of people. Big difference for memory and just getting it. Okay, slight shift before we hit record. You mentioned some interesting stuff about AI education in China.
Oh yeah, 2 things really jumped out. One was the efficiency of that DeepSeek model. When it came out, it caused a stir. Even briefly hit NVIDIA's stock. People were like, wow, China built a large language model this efficient. And the second was how early they're starting AI education for kids, like 6 years old, introducing basic concepts.
Okay, DeepSeek is Chinese. What made it so efficient?
Yeah, Chinese company. Efficient means it gets results similar to, say, ChatGPT, but uses way less computing power, like maybe 1/10 of the GPUs, much lower cost. It was a big deal technologically. People call it frugal innovation, kind of like how ISRO operates sometimes compared to NASA, getting great results cost effectively.
But there are those data privacy concerns with Chinese models, right? That's always part of the conversation.
Absolutely. Very valid concerns, important to consider. But if a company's main goal is just cutting costs, and maybe data privacy isn't viewed the same way as elsewhere, then a model like DeepSeek looks very appealing, hence the market reaction.
And why start AI education so young in China? What's the goal there?
Well, back in 2017, China announced this big national plan, AI for Everyone, aiming to be the world leader in AI by 2030. A huge part of that is weaving AI education into schools right from the start. The idea isn't to make every kid an AI coder. It's about building baseline AI awareness across the whole population. So a kid using a Snapchat filter understands, okay, AI is powering this, seeing Instagram recommendations, That's an algorithm. Just basic literacy.
So the grand plan is to have the world's most AI literate workforce by 2030.
That seems to be the ambition, yeah. It's very top-down, government-driven, very focused.
Okay, let's loop back quickly to our job categories, the 4 types. Should we dig into how AI affects each one now, or maybe save that deeper dive for next time?
Let's maybe just reiterate the foundations we covered today. AI literacy is key. Understand the big foundational models and know about the task-specific tools. For people in those lower skill or high repetition jobs, getting these basics down is going to be super valuable.
Yeah. And 2 big reminders. AI can be wrong. Critical thinking is still crucial.
Absolutely.
And human oversight, human judgment, still vital in so many roles. EAs, customer support, AI helps, but doesn't replace the human element entirely. So what's next for our next deep dive then?
Okay, next time we can really hit level 3, prompt engineering.
Sure.
Super important for content creators, entrepreneurs. Because entrepreneurship is all about solving problems, right? And prompting is about framing those problems so AI can help.
Yeah, I think so.
Then we go to level 4, those specialized uses. Doctors, consultants, professors, where just using prompts isn't enough. You need people who can actually architect AI solutions, understand data flow, machine learning logic.
So up to prompt engineering, most people can probably learn it themselves. Beyond that, for those super specialized tools, you either need to become a deep expert or hire one.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And you mentioned prompt engineering as a job title.
Yeah.
Companies are hiring for that now. And AI designers, ML engineers, the demand is intense, salaries are high. Even with just a couple of years experience, prompt engineers can make really good money. More experience, even more. These are the kinds of roles making up that predicted 97 million new jobs. We're seeing CS grads, math grads, stats grads, all shifting towards machine learning engineering. Huge opportunity there. So maybe this is a good place to pause for today. We've laid down a lot of the groundwork.
Sounds perfect. And you're right, getting that foundation is the main thing. Once that's solid, the advanced stuff feels less daunting.
Exactly.
And hey, it's great we connected through PM too, doing such cool work in education reform.
Yeah, PM's got a great vision. You know, the Indian education system, great at the higher secondary level, produces sharp minds. But undergrad, postgrad, needs some updating, modernization. It's entrepreneurs, orgs like PM, driving that change. We need more people globally who not just understand tech, but can apply it effectively, making AI thinking common sense.
Couldn't agree more. All right, well, thank you so much for this. Just an incredibly insightful deep dive into AI today.
My pleasure. Really enjoyed it.
For everyone listening, if you want to connect, ask more questions, we'll drop your Instagram handle in the show notes. Seriously, we need more folks like you making this complex stuff accessible.
Absolutely. Always happy to connect with anyone curious about AI.
Awesome. And remember, everyone, your AI literacy journey, it starts by just playing around, go try these tools out, explore, and maybe leave with this thought. AI could be as big a shift as electricity. How's it going to change your life? Get curious, start learning now, get ahead of the curve.